Whether you're a fan of the show or a filthy casual, I think we can all agree that Bungou Stray Dogs looks like a cheap knockoff of popular shonen. We have an orphan with lightly colored hair with an infamously strong predatory animal in his body, and takes on characteristics of said animal when utilizing its power. A dark-haired rival with a calm, calculated, and sometimes violent demeanor, whose entire personality is being edgy. A syscon, pedo, and a quirky deadbeat mentor that gives very vague advice but ends up being an important part of the success of every mission and coincidentally used to be a high-ranking officer in a much larger organization. But okay, I'll admit it, season 1 was not bad. Alright, I can get down with some team-up action, okay, kinda cold. Oh my god, wait, there's actually no way around this. Not like this, right? Right? Despite every indication that the show is 4 out of 10 seasonal trash, it's surprisingly easy to get invested in Bungou Stray Dogs. Before you know it, you'll be liking TikTok edits and signing petitions for more Chuya screen time. Rather than a stale repeat of the tropes and themes we're so used to seeing, watching the show feels like a breath of fresh air and a new take on the action genre. For the uninitiated, Bungou Stray Dogs is about an organization called the Armed Detective Agency that solves crimes involving supernatural abilities. The majority of the conflict happens between other organizations, and it's one of the few cases in anime that feels like a real conflict at an organizational level. Atsushi and Kunikida look for Katai to get information on Kenji, Tanizaki, and Yusano storm. It's chaotic, not in the sense of disarray and mayhem, but rather in a multifaceted guerrilla warfare kind of way. Their resources are carefully distributed to optimize the strength of their members from their optimal positions or locations to optimize the chances of completing their goal. Optimally. Everybody from every organization is doing everything in their power to achieve their individual objectives. There's never a moment where you question the decision making or think, damn, why isn't this character using their super OP ability that was super useful in the previous arc? With so many moving parts involved, it's all the smaller battles that sway the balance and come together to determine which side has the advantage. You really get to feel the magnitude of the two entities clashing with each other. But the main reason why it's not a shonen replica is because it was never shonen to begin with. Characters suffer psychologically and seriously have to work through their trauma. The meaning of morals and ethics during times of war is often called into question. But above all else, actions have consequences. As viewers, we don't have the same psychological safety net that everything will work out in the end. There's no checkpoints, no Poké Center, and no Dragon Balls. Things happen and people die. Some things are irreversible. The weight of actions, interactions, and conflict is so much greater. There's a real threat to the way things are. You never know what you could lose. A seinen approach to action anime is a lot rarer, but it works a lot better for a show like this. It synergizes nicely with the harsh realities of warfare and allows room to fully explore some of the finer, more complex details. On paper, the characteristics of Bungou Stray Dogs are similar to many popular shonen shows, but the way those characteristics are handled is taken in an entirely different direction and hits just that little bit harder. But one other interesting aspect of the show is the power scaling. Question: who is the most important member of the Armed Detective Agency? It shouldn't be too difficult, there really is only one answer. It is, without a doubt, between Super Strength, Hyper Potion, Summoning no Jutsu, JoJo Stan, John Cena, and Furry Fantasy, how is it possible that the guy with no ability and no fighting prowess is the most important character? Information is key. Knowledge is power. The more you understand about the opponent and the current situation, the easier it becomes to navigate the conflict. Therefore, anybody able to quickly and easily gather information is very valuable. And between Ranpo's ungodly deductive ability and Dazai's connections, perceptiveness, and manipulation skills, gathering information is super easy, barely an inconvenience. The agency can always come up with a countermeasure to whatever the enemy is planning, or formulate a plan of their own. Inversely, Atsushi and Kunikida sometimes have the opposite effect. The nature of Atsushi's ability and Kunikida's idealism are very widely known and often exploited. They reveal potential weak points in the agency. Although special abilities are an integral aspect of the world, they're more like tools, a means to execute a plan. The emphasis has always been on clever positioning, resource management, and creative tactics. The abilities themselves weren't actually that important. In the hands of a great strategist, any ability can be useful, even turning into a jacket. I'm sorry, that devil fruit is just so fucking stupid. Information is more important than abilities, and that has always been the case, until the 5th season. Let me set the scene. At the end of the 4th season, the agency was getting crushed. I'm talking pants around the ankles, checkmate, Light Yagami in the helicopter after a 3-month plan of wiping his own memories, writing fake rules, and storing a piece of the Death Note in his watch to regain ownership. Absolutely cooked. The agency was on the run from a super OP military special force, Ranpo was missing, Dazai was detained, Queen Ikeda jumped out of a goddamn helicopter, things were bad. And as expected, the start of the 5th season went surprisingly well. Ranpo completely dismantled all the enemy plots with very little resistance. Hell, we knew the identity and ability of the mastermind by episode 3. It was looking like the easiest dub so far. Oh, they're losing. Well, that was unexpected. There were no more mysteries, no hidden traps, no secret gimmicks. They had all the knowledge they needed, but for the first time, that wasn't enough. Contrary to every other main antagonist in the story so far, Fukuchi very clearly is not the sharpest tool in the cookie jar. But no matter what the agency did, his ability and fighting prowess was insurmountable. Fight after fight after fight, no amount of knowledge, scheming, or tactics brought them any closer to winning. The agency simply didn't have the firepower to deal with him. We always knew that certain abilities are much stronger than others. This guy can manipulate gravity, and he can turn into a cat. But an ability has never been the cornerstone of the plot. This season showed us that, under the right circumstances, abilities can become completely unstoppable. While every other season took everything we thought we understood based on the knowledge we had access to and flipped it on its head, the 5th season took everything we thought we understood about the whole show and flipped that on its head. It's one of the most inventive ways to explore its own world, and clearly shows how much potential is yet to be fully explored. So yeah, all things considered, it's a pretty good show. It's a less popular approach and doesn't have that much direct competition, but even so, it continues to stretch its own world and concepts to their limits, and is completely unafraid to reinvent itself and our understanding of the show. Stories like this don't come around too often, and I don't believe it gets the attention it deserves, so I think it earned the title underrated. 4 out of 10.